This review will take a quick look at the Lost Boys of Hannibal, and they disappeared on May 10th, 1967, while caving. And here's a quick news report to help introduce you to it. One moment, please.
If you read anything about them, everybody assumes that they're buried under Highway 79.
48 years later, a Hannibal mystery still lays unsolved. What happened to three boys who've been missing since 1967?
There isn't a day that goes by that I don't think about my brothers and where in the world are they.
May 19th, KHQA's Jack Pluta digs deep to uncover what happened the day the boys took to the caves and where this case stands today. Join us for the search for Hannibal's missing boys, only on KHQA.
And there are the three boys that are missing. On the far right is Craig Dow. He was age 14. The middle is Joey Hogg. He was age 13. And Billy on the far left, who was age 11. And this took place in Hannibal, Missouri, which is the hometown of the famous writer Mark Twain. And back then, the 1960s and the 50s, exploring was quite a prominent activity, kind of like this Tom Sawyer era. And that particular city, Hannibal, had a quite intricate network of caves. And the day before, the two individuals on the left, Billy and Joey Hogg, had gone caving, and their folks had told them not to return to the caves. They came home quite dirty, and they didn't really want to return to that. And a highway was being built, close by there, and there was blasting going on, so it was kind of an ominous setting. Unfortunately, the following day, on May 10th, 1967, they snuck away, and they told several other people that they were going caving. And Craig Dow there on the far right is believed they hooked up with him. Some people describe him as a friend, other people say an acquaintance. And they were seen, the three of them were seen by generally three different sightings. One by a young girl, another one by a janitor, and other people say they walked by a firehouse. And they were seen between 4:30 and 5:15. The young girl that saw them stated they did not have a ladder with them, which actually backs up her story, because the ladder that they used for caving was at the found in the Hogg basement a few days later, so that kind of backs up her story. And they never returned from the caving expedition, just never. And by 6:30, the police were notified, and a search began. And it was quite a search. It was an incredible search. It involved 255 people total, and the story went national quickly, local, national, then even international, and the President of the United States even lent his jet to be used. Let me get a news report on here. What? If I get one moment, please.
Joy was into science. He loved astronomy. Billy was just silly. He was just mischievous. He liked to taunt you, tease you.
Billy, Joey, and the Hogue kids had many hobbies while growing up in Hannibal.
We went up to the rock quarry up on the riverside, and we'd bring black snakes home, and and our playground was Lover's Leap.
In 1967, work was underway on what we now know as Route 79. The site was a perfect playground for young explorers Joey and Billy. One night, the boys came home after several hours of exploring a cave. The boys' sister, Dee Dee, says her parents scolded the boys. The next day, Dee Dee's parents punished the boys by not allowing them to leave the yard. If only they had listened. May 10th, 1967, the last time anybody saw Joey and Billy Hogue.
When Mom and Dad got home, they asked, where's Joey and Billy?
The Hogue family spread out, looking for their brothers. They must have ran off to do more exploring, they thought. Dee Dee says neighbors reported seeing the boys go into Murphy's Cave, near where Stoll Elementary School sits today.
They mapped that whole thing out completely. They went through it so thoroughly. They searched so many caverns.
At the time, a third boy, Craig Dowell, had also gone missing. But to this day, it is...
That's a kind of a news report on the story. As you can see, it was covered by the Hannibal Courier Post. And Let's see, what else can I tell you about it? They brought in caving experts and from throughout the country, and the caving experts explored those caves. And the search was just absolutely phenomenal, incredible. Like I said, the president even lent his jet to be used to transport people there. They used floodlights. They had 255 people searching, and they found that what they thought was some blood, but that turned out not to be blood. And they found a sock, but they couldn't connect it to the use in any capacity. And there's even a central location where they set up a station for the media to transmit any updates. So they had typewriters and going on like crazy, but there were no returns at all. Just no returns at all. Now homes in the area were also searched, like abandoned homes, and trains leaving to and from leaving the location were searched, as well as the location they were en route to. Just in case the use had gotten on the trains in some capacity. And as I said earlier, they just were not found. The search was slowed down after about 10 days, and um, let's see. There's been a lot of interest recently in the possibility that they're never in the caves in the first place. One of the relatives of the use has stated publicly she believes they were never in the caves in the first place, and there's some circumstantial evidence to support that. And the 1960s were a different era. Okay, there was no TV. There was television, but not all households had televisions, and people there was no cell phones, internet, and stuff like that. So news traveled a little slower, and this also affected the search because technology wasn't as advanced as it is today. They have the ability to send down sonars and have equipment above ground to see if there's disturbances. But let's see. Now, there's also the possibility something else happened to him. That includes an abduction, and perhaps there was a lot of unidentified flying saucer reports in that area at that time. Some people say they saw flying saucers at treetop level in Hannibal. So did something like that happen to him remains unclear. Let's see if I get another news report on here. One moment, please. Let me finish this one.
It is unclear whether Dowell joined the boys or not. Week after week, the search continued. Local restaurants donated food and housing to many volunteer cavers who came from around the country to help find the boys. It was a search that began to take its toll on Dee Dee's family.
I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I felt like they would be cold and they'd be hungry, and I just couldn't let myself do anything. I was so stressed out.
Dee Dee says all she wants now is closure, and she says that closure comes when the boys are found. But after 48 years, will there ever be another search?
That case remains open.
Lieutenant.
And there's a little more information. See if I can find another news report on here. One moment, please. It's these YouTubes can be quite informative. Let me see if I can find another one on here. If not, I'll see if I can. Let's see. Here's a miniature one. One moment, please. Here's another one.
And cave rescue still very much in the news. We bring you the story of a cave rescue much closer to home. It happened more than 50 years ago, right here in Missouri. Hannibal, to be exact. As KOUH Stephanie Sandoval tells us, sadly, the Missouri cave rescue did not have a happy ending.
That's right, Jim. I spoke to two pair of Missourians who say even though it happened 51 years ago, it's still fresh in their minds. A mystery unsolved. After more than 50 years later, the people of Hannibal still don't know what happened to these three boys.
And there's another report. And if you're interested in this story, like in years past, this story wasn't really carried on shows like A Current Affair, Inside Edition, or Hard Copy. If it was, I wasn't aware of it. And it was never carried on Unsolved Mysteries. And so it really wasn't all that popular. With the internet coming about, it's done somewhat of a rejuvenation. If you're interested, just go to Google search engine, type up "Missing in Hannibal," Lost Boys, and there's several podcasts. The podcasts are faring quite well, and some of the people believe this could come to a resolution. And there in recent some of the more recent podcasts, there's a lot of interest and a lot of speculation. These kids were never in the caves in the first place. And kind of as a final note, in the year 2006, an elementary school was being built in Hannibal. By the way, Craig Dowell and Joey Hogg both attended Hannibal Elementary School and were eighth graders, whereas Billy attended Stoll Elementary School at the time they went missing, May 10th, 1967. And in the year 2006, a new school was being built in Hannibal, and a tunnel was found, and there were some paint marks in there, so they assumed it had, had some people had been in there at some point, and that was searched, and nothing was found. And a relative, Craig Dow, was at the scene just in case any remains were found, but none were found. And it's quite a story. Like I said, if you're interested, just go to the internet and just type it up, and you'll see quite a bit of information. And let me see if I can get a let's see if I can get a tribute for these young kids on here. One moment, please. Here's kind of a miniature tribute to the use. Let's see if I can get this on here. One moment, please. Tell me something, girl. Are you happy in this modern world? Or do you need more? Is there something else you're searching for? I'm falling. In all the times I find myself longing for change. And in the bad times I feel myself. Tell me something more. It's hard trying to feel that more. Do you need more? Is there something else you're searching for? In all the times I find myself fortunate. In all the times I feel myself, I'm the deep end, watching my diving. I'll never be good right now. Scratch on the surface where they can hide us. They float on the shallow now. In the shallow, shallow. In the shallow, in the shallow, shallow. It's all shallow now. Yeah, it's kind of a miniature tribute. Sorry for the sound, but don't know if those good those speakers are. And here's, let's see if I can get a picture on here and have a one moment, please. And let's see if I get a picture on here. And here's end of the day picture here, and kind of another miniature tribute to the three youths who lost their lives that day, more than likely. Um, hopefully they live their life to the fullest, and hopefully maybe they reach the stars, kind of like this picture does. If you look out in the skies there, you'll eventually see stars. It's taken a bit earlier, but hopefully they did reach the stars, and that'll do it.